We good, good, good? Okay. We'll have a mic holder in the room, and if you would state your name and affiliation when asking your question, appreciate that. Hey, Carly. That's a good question. How are you? Congratulations. How we doing?
Fine, how are you?
Great. Are you okay making an opening statement or no regular questions?
I can do whatever you want.
Okay, very good. Okay, welcome everyone. We'll begin with an opening statement from Coach and then go to questions for the athletes. Coach Fisher.
The opening statement is, this is a very experienced team that has gotten better every year and has worked really hard to be in this position, so we're excited to be here and ready to get started.
Okay, we'll take questions for Kayla and Chinaza. If you raise your hand, we have a mic holder.
Lee Feinswag from volleyballmag.com. Kayla, what is your injury and how bad is it? And could you tell us what's going on?
No comment. But I can practice, and every day closer to game time I get to do a little bit more. That's all.
Okay, anything else? Anyone else? Go here to the left.
Lincoln O'Neill, Omaha World Herald. What does it mean to kind of be here? Has it sunken in yet that you're in the Final Four and just dreams coming true? How are you feeling entering this weekend?
Mostly just feeling grateful. I think, we both chose to come back an extra year, and even then we couldn't have expected this, right? So just feeling a lot of gratitude and just staying present. I think those are the main two things. And then just feeling confident, like we know that we're good enough to be here. We know we deserve to be here. So playing with that confidence going through is going to be important.
Kayla, would you answer that as well?
Sure. Ditto that. It's a special group that we have here. I think we've had to kind of force ourselves to let the moments sink in and be really grateful because we do know that we deserve to be here and we've worked really hard to be here throughout our career here. And so, beating Purdue at home, we kind of had to take a second to appreciate the crowd, appreciate all the fans behind us. And but then again, at the same time, you don't want to take it in too much, right? You want to be grateful for where you're at, but we're really motivated to keep it going.
Front right.
Chuck Kurtai, Volleyball Magazine. Dan, from an X's and O's standpoint, what challenges does Nebraska present for your team?
It's a stylistic, a couple things. One is I think both teams are strong in serve and pass. I think the numbers show that. So that'll be an interesting battle. And then I think in transition, we're a little bit more aggressive than they are. They're a little bit, they play it safe. And so it's going to be fun to watch that battle a little bit.
Okay.
For both or either players, whatever you got. So when practice began in the summer and Lekator and Serena joined the team and you began, what was the transition period like, if there was one, introducing two new players to your group, and any adjustments, or how seamless did that go?
They were both really good coming in. That's why they came here. And I think seeing that made us just so much more excited for them to be a part of our team, because we knew that under our coaching staff and within our culture, they would get even better. And obviously there was a transition period, but I don't think it was rough as much as there was just a lot of growing. And they're both really good people, which also made it easy, right? It's easy to work for them. They let us push them. They let us hold them accountable. They also push us. They also hold us accountable. So they fit really well into our culture, for sure.
Okay, back left.
Matt Foster, KETV Omaha. Coach, is there any concern with the difference in experience with this being the program's first year for Nebraska? It's their 16th in the Final Four?
No.
Okay, anybody else? Any other questions up here in front?
Yeah, Craig Meyer at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette for Chi and for Kayla. I don't know how much I've talked with y'all about this in the past, but being from California, being from Houston, what was it? I mean, what ultimately drew y'all to Pitt? What appealed about that program, about that school to you?
This guy and the coaching staff as a whole. When you talk to them, when you come to campus, you realize what a family they are and how much love they have for each other, and how that love extends then into the girls, and then how much the girls love each other. And I mean, it's hard to, especially if you're moving across the country, moving away from home, to not want to go to a place that has a sense of home, has a sense of family. And so absolutely the people was immediately what drew me in. And it's held true ever since day one, and the love has just grown even more.
So for me, it was just kind of like the perfect school. Like, it was a school where I didn't have to give anything up. Obviously, we play volleyball at a high level. It's in a city. I love the city of Pittsburgh. I didn't want to go to a school in the middle of nowhere, so I like that part of it. And it's a good school. And for me, academics is really important, so I didn't have to give any of that up. The team loves each other. The coaches care about us as people, and also they just know the game really well. So they're knowledgeable, but they're also personable, which is really important. We spend a lot of time together, so being around people that you care about is really important. So it was just a situation where I didn't have to give anything up. The one negative is that it's cold, and I got over that.
Over the course of your time at Pitt, you all have played in some high-stakes games, I guess high-pressure situations. How do you mentally prepare for what y'all are going to walk into, or I guess encounter tomorrow on that kind of a stage on national TV for what will probably be a sold-out crowd?
Well, we work a lot. We have a sports psychologist. We work a lot with him, and he helps us kind of prepare for those moments. And then at the same time, we're thinking a lot, okay, we're not going to have really a home court advantage. We're not going to have our normal crowd, our intimate environment in the field house like we're used to, and just being aware of that and making sure that we focus on our vibe and who we are as a team, and letting the outside noise not distract us will be really important. And just remembering that we want to be the aggressive team. We want to be on the hunt. We want to be our first foot forward through it all. And so knowing that the crowd could be noisy, loud, maybe distracted, not always cheering for us, and bigger than we've ever played for, it's going to be really important to just hone into who we are in our team and the voices that we hear closest to us.
All right.
For both players, and you made out this about your teammates as well, are you guys friends with former high school teammates, club teammates, regional teammates, national teams, with any of the other players in this Final Four?
Us personally, no. Some of our other teammates are very close and past teammates with some of the other girls in the Final Four. I know some girls on Louisville and some of the girls on other teams just from doing stuff with the collegiate team over the summer, but a couple other of our teammates have some good friends.
Any names? Anybody you can think of?
Can
No?
I? Lecator used to play with Kayla from Nebraska, and Lexus, old high school teammate, plays also for Nebraska. And I believe...
And Allie Batenhorst played
yeah.
at Houston Juniors, which is the club I played at. So I kind of know Allie.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Saves a lot of research. Dan, did you recruit either Serena or Lecator? when they were juniors?
No, I didn't even know about Lecator, and I tried to recruit Serena, and then that was right when I was reaching out as she went on to visit Penn State and was a little late getting in. But worked out the way it was supposed to.
Dan, can you talk about Rachel Fairbanks' development over the last month or so? She's really raised her numbers. What was it that she showed that you said, hey, we need to get this young lady some more touches?
Well, there was a combination of a couple things. She I never, when I recruited her, I didn't really, she told me she touched 10 feet. I didn't really believe it. I didn't think she'd really be a hitter. And then at one point in the year, I think she touched 10.3.5 or 10.4. And I said, wow, I guess maybe we should, and she has a pretty good arm, and she was getting stronger. She's physically more mature than when she showed up in the summer. So she was maturing, just becoming a more powerful player. It was higher, and then also was becoming more technical as a setter. And so then, she's basically about 4 months in, and so I think it's just all the teaching we've been doing kind of, she just settled in. Combine that with, some injuries to Kylie, and so she was thrust in a role and has really done great. So we're thrilled for her.
Okay, we're on the left.
Dan, what have you seen from Nebraska's floor defense in your study of the film this week, too, and how do you game plan to attack their defense?
We plan on doing what we always do, which is trying to hit the ball as hard as we possibly can, as much times as we can. So I think if we tip a lot, they're gonna do a good job against us.
Was there anything you saw from Nebraska's floor defense that you haven't seen or compares to what you have seen this year?
I think they're comparable defensively to us or Louisville. We've played very good defensive teams. It's much respect, but yeah, we're not shifting around a ton based on their back row defense, that's for sure.
Okay, front left.
Dan, with Chiamaka, with her being from Columbus, obviously with the Final Four being here, I was curious with the past few days, especially once y'all booked your ticket here, what those past few days have kind of been like for her getting to go on this stage and doing so at home.
I haven't even asked her. I'm sure it's, the one thing I can say about Chia is sometimes she needs some encouragement in practice to bring it all. She does not need encouragement as the stage gets bigger. She loves to compete. She's definitely a gamer, so I'm sure she's very excited and will be ready.
I guess what, if at all, do you remember about like the first times that you saw her play and about her overall recruitment?
So, Chia was one of the first players that I remember thinking we got somebody like maybe like above where we were as a program at the time, and thinking, hey, we better make sure we make her feel loved through the whole recruiting process so someone doesn't come in and poach her. So we felt like we had kind of someone people didn't really know about at the time.
Sorry, one follow-up on that. Like, what steps do you have to take there where, to kind of show a recruit how much you care and I guess how much of a priority they are for y'all?
Well, yeah, with her, it's in volleyball, a lot of times there's a verbal commit, sometimes a year before they actually sign. So it's just making sure that after that commitment, you're still showing interest and basically that.
Okay, anything else? Okay, we're going to switch over to Zoom and see if we have any questions on Zoom.
Thank you, Dan. There are no questions at this time. If someone does have a question and wants to raise their hand, we can go ahead and take that. But at this time, there are no hands raised online.
Okay, all right, one more here.
Dan, I know the stock answers, but for you personally, to get to this point and considering everything that you've been through to get here to this far in this stage, what does it mean to you personally as a person and a coach?
It means a lot. I don't know how to put it into words, but it's What I've said before is what I mean is that when I took the job, I never envisioned us being here. I didn't know if it was possible, but I knew. But that being said, the collection of talent I had going into this season, I felt like we could do it. And so it's really nice in life to, to achieve goals. And so, I feel really grateful, really blessed, grateful to all the people that have supported me, the university, my wife and family, and it's a big moment.
Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A recording of this press conference will be available in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at www.ncaaveritone.com. Transcripts provided by ASAP will be available here shortly. have University of Louisville. And as we have been doing, please identify yourself and your affiliation with questions. And we'll start off with a opening statement from Coach.
Hello, thank you all for being here. I'm Danny, I'm the head coach, and we're just really excited to be in this position, and it was a goal of ours at the beginning of the season to make it to the Final Four, and to accomplish that at home and at Freedom Hall, and historic venue, was really, really special. So I'm really proud of this team and really excited for this weekend.
Okay, start with questions. Front right.
Tim Sullivan, Courier-Journal. Danny, yesterday, Josh Hurd said his number one priority was to lock you up long-term, and I'm wondering if you have a reaction to that, and if there's a deal that can be made that would keep you in Louisville if John Cook ever retires.
Well, I love Louisville. My husband loves it here. We want to stay for a long time, for sure. Certainly, we've talked about that with the administration and how we can make this, a win-win for our family and the University of Louisville.
Okay, middle left.
Chuck Kurtai from Volleyball Magazine. Danny, what does it say about the development of volleyball in the ACC that you have two teams in the Final Four, you have another team like Georgia Tech that made a deep run? What does it say about the conference overall?
I think it says a ton, and we hear a lot about how the ACC is not as good, and we don't compete with the Big Ten, but I saw the ACC do some amazing things this tournament, and some players that couldn't be stopped by anybody, what conference they're in. So it's been a really fun year and really exciting for the future of the conference, just laying this foundation and setting a standard, and the turnover with players and coaches is just continuing to get stronger and stronger. So again, I'm really excited about the future of the ACC, and that just helps all of us too.
We'll go front left here.
Lee Feinswalk from volleyballmag.com. Tori, you're a student of the game. What do you make out of Wisconsin?
They're good. They're big. They're good. Obviously, everybody's good at this point, but I think they're probably the most balanced team we'll have played so far this year, which I think will be a great challenge. But I also know that we're incredibly balanced, so I think we match up great, and I think we play really well, and we'll be in a great position.
I'd like to get your perspective. You transferred early, got it out of your system, but the last 2 years and right now the transfer portal is just exploding. What do you make out of that?
It's definitely changing the game. I think the transfer portal is great for student athletes, overwhelming for coaches, I'm sure. But I do think that, especially with everybody getting an extra year of eligibility, there's a lot of grad transfers. So I think it's going to be a lot of more experienced players staying in college longer and making big impacts on those teams, whether they grad transfer or choose to use that extra year of eligibility where they're at. I know it's already made a big difference this year. We've seen that this whole entire year, especially in the tournament and stuff. So I think it's absolutely changing college volleyball. I hope for the better. It looks like it is right now. But yeah, it's exciting for sure.
Okay. Middle right.
Jacob Myers with the Columbus Dispatch. Danny, I know you've gotten this question a variation of times, but now that you're in the Final Four, have you given more thought to what being the first female coach to win the championship would kind of mean for you and this program?
Yes, I know a lot of my female peers have said, it would be amazing to be the first female to win the national championship, but it would also be amazing to have a female win the national championship and to break that barrier. But at the end of the day, I also hate that it comes down to gender, and on Saturday, if we win, I want it to be because I'm the best coach this year, not because I'm a female. And but of course, I've thought about that and even said that to recruits, and that's a goal of mine. And it'd be amazing to do it at Louisville. And no women's sport has won a national championship at Louisville, so we have some history that could be made this weekend.
And to your point, you just got through a regional with 4 terrific coaches. Yes. What did that mean to you to kind of get through there, and I guess just to see this game that has been a men's game for a long time in the coaching ranks, to see how much talent there is in those teams?
It was great, and I've been saying too, this year a woman has a great chance to win it. I think there's going to be more and more. There's more and more women staying and coaching and making impacts, and the game's changing in that way. But it was really cool to just be there and feel the camaraderie. And when you get that far, you want to see your peers succeed. And I had a great hug with Michelle from Georgia Tech after the game, and it was pretty cool.
This question's for Anna. Teams don't get here without a really good culture. For the kind of upward trajectory that Louisville has been on the last 3 years to get to this point, what does it just say about the kind of culture and talent that Coach has built in this program?
I think that our staff does a fantastic job of building trust. And one of the things that when I first got here was a big shock to me was like roles meetings. Like we sit in the film room as a team and coaches go one by one and talk honestly and candidly about like what each player needs to work on. And so I think our team does a good job of holding each other accountable, but I think there's just a whole lot of trust with the staff to us, and then we know that they've got our backs.
Front right.
For both players, I wonder, Tori alluded to the size that Wisconsin has. How does that impact your strategy or approach, knowing that you've got a 6'8" superstar on the other side?
I don't think it changes too much. I think we've just got to respect her because she's just another really good player. We've played a lot of really good players, and I mean, they do have a lot of size, but I mean, I think we're a really good blocking team, and just sticking to what we've trained all year long. I mean, we're not going to change much at this point, I don't think. So,
Tori?
Yeah, I don't have too much to add to that. I don't think we're going to change too much. I think we trust ourselves, we trust our defense, our block, and so we're going to treat her like a really good volleyball player and respect her, but respect their whole offense as well.
What about your offense? Does that influence how you set?
Not really. We're gonna come up with an offensive game plan and try to stick to it, but we'll make adjustments as we need to, and we're not gonna be scared of one or two big blockers. We know that they're big, but we also know that we have some really good arms and kids that can do some pretty special stuff. So.
I wonder if you could just elaborate on that concept of what you're up against and how that impacts what you do, if at all.
I don't think it impacts a ton what we do. We've talked all year about just staying true to ourselves and being authentic to our team. We're balanced, and we'll start feeding a hot hand, and we don't know who that is before the game because we've had different players take over in almost every match. So, we don't want to back down, and we want to bring the fight to them. And like Tori said, we're not going to be scared of one or two big players.
Okay, middle left.
This is for Anna and Tori. The milestones keep mounting for this program this year: conference championship, undefeated, Final Four, etc. Internally, how have you, as the players, handled that and kind of kept a level head about things?
I think we address it head on, and before practice, sometimes Danny will tell those things, and we've even written them out on like the whiteboard. I remember one time we burned the rankings of whatever it was. We didn't even know which one. There's so many rankings, but yeah, I mean, we just address it and don't let it just stay there in the back of our heads.
Yeah, address it head on and address how it can be a distraction. We talk about just good things as distractions and bad things as distractions, and I think we've handled them super well this year. It's a really mature team, not just in age, but everybody has a really high level of maturity, and the coaches have really helped with that, just addressing things head on, not letting anything be swept under the rug. When big things like that are firsts for a program or anything, it can definitely take away from the task at hand. And so I think everybody's done an incredible job, and everybody's personally taken a lot of responsibility and just handled it for themselves.
Okay, front left.
Danny, you have to win first, but do you know the answer to this? Because we've been trying to figure it out. Has anyone ever won as a player, as an assistant coach, and as a head coach?
I don't know, but I don't think so. I think there might have been somebody else that's won as a player and an assistant, maybe, but I doubt anybody's done it for all three. That's another first, I guess, so I'll just add it to the list.
You and I don't know who would.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Tori, what about this team this year has surprised you from the summer to now? What things have you looked at and go, wow, I wasn't expecting that, good or bad?
Honestly, not much has surprised me. I think the 32-0 is surprising. That's just so rare. But in the summer, I remember stepping in day one in the gym and having a conversation with Anna DeBeer about, we don't have a missing piece. We need to start talking about this national championship right now. Because if we don't talk about it, we're not going to dream big enough. We're not going to set goals big enough for ourselves. And so from that moment on, everybody started talking about it, and it kind of just slow rolled. And so nothing's really surprised me with the maturity, with how well we've done, with different people lighting it up on different nights. That's not surprising me because they all have the capability, and we're so well prepped in practice with everyone else we have on the team. I mean, I think that's one of our biggest strengths is how competitive practice is and how much pressure we have in practice. And so I think I haven't been surprised by much other than the 32-0.
Surprised me.
We'll go back, right?
Dennis Punzel, Wisconsin State Journal. Danny, Claire Chausse's career has kind of been ascending for a number of years. How would you describe her journey from the player you first saw to who she's become now?
I think she is one of the unique and really, I don't know, I would say a great story of our program. And, just to see her transform as a person and a player has been really, really cool and special. And she's the type of player, she comes in every day early, will stay after to get reps. She understands her role, which has been very different every single year. And she's had to come off the bench and win big matches. She started and got taken out. She's been a 6 rotation player, she's been a 3 rotation player, but you see her approach every day the same, and her attitude towards giving to our team and the selflessness has been consistent. And I think that's gotten her here, and it's given her a ton of confidence, and she's earned it. She has not been given her role at all, and I even admit that as a coach. Sometimes, like last year against San Diego, she came off the bench and hit 600, and I was like, God, Claire makes us look like idiots sometimes. So she's one of the funniest players on our team and a great teammate, so just really proud of her, and we would not be where we are without her emergence this season.
Front right.
Tori, I wonder if you could elaborate a little bit about the idea of needing to dream big. Does that emphasis about winning a national championship, does that offset Wisconsin being here for the 3rd straight year?
I don't know if it offsets it. I mean, I think that's incredible for them. That's obviously a great program, and I know they're striving for the same thing we are, and so I respect the heck out of them. I love watching them play, but I also think that just our team, we talk about workout, prep, out team, and I think the team aspect of that is what's carried us this far, and I think that started with dreaming big for this team, what this team can accomplish, and really believing it. I think 2 years ago when we were in the tournament and we were labeled the upset queens, and Danny's big thing was we needed to believe that we were going to win before, not in an arrogant way, but in you don't win, winners win before the match starts in their own head. And so I think that has been something that we've kept with us for the last couple of years, and I know it's been something that stuck with me, and you have to believe it before. And so dreaming big doesn't go take you all the way, but it's definitely been a huge part of why we're here.
As a quick follow-up, could you kind of pinpoint when that conversation started?
Before the Swedes,
I
think it was before the WKU match. After we had beat Samford, I think before we played WKU, I'm pretty sure that's when it was first coined by Danny.
Okay, front left.
Danny, did you recruit either of them in juniors coming out?
No, I was at Nebraska at the time as an assistant, so nope, I did not.
Did you recruit them for Nebraska?
No.
What were you thinking?
Clearly, I don't know.
Okay, any other questions?
Question.
Back left.
John Audius, Wisconsin Radio. This is for you, Tori. I was just wondering, I apologize if you probably had to answer this in the past, but in what ways has your father helped prepare your volleyball career, your sporting career, your attitude toward preparation and things of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, I was raised in a really competitive household. My sisters are great competitors, and my dad and mom obviously instilled that in us, which I think has been huge for me as a competitor, but I think the support he's given just throughout my career, and not always needing to be a coach or need to talk about or give advice from his past experiences. He's been a great dad through it all, and so I think that's been the most pivotal part of our relationship as going through all of this. He hasn't felt like he needs to be coach. He hasn't felt like he needs to always give advice. He's dad first, and that's what I love most about him. But obviously I'm super grateful and just thankful to be raised in a household that is competitive and values sports and competition and just being the best version of yourself. And so I'm thankful. That's I can't thank him and my mom enough for instilling that in me and my sisters.
Lincoln Arneal, Omaha World Herald. For either of the players, you guys are wearing the Muhammad Ali inspired jerseys. Does that have any significance to y'all, or why you're wearing those uniforms?
The guy who makes our super cool videos, Muhammad is his dad. And I mean, he made this video for us before we played at Nebraska, and it was all about how, I think he was about to fight George Foreman, and everyone thought he was going to lose because George Foreman had the big name, and Nebraska had the big name. They have it. And we're trying to build that for Louisville, and so I just think I kind of lost track of the question there. But yeah, I hope that answered it.
I mean, do the Muhammad Ali inspired jerseys have any significance to you?
Yeah,
So,
probably
yeah.
that. Good.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. I think we've taken on that persona a little bit. Assad, our videographer, kind of told us that we were the team that most reminded him of his dad, and just the way that we competed, believed in ourselves. And so I think that was super cool for all of us. I know we got emotional when that video played, and just hearing that was super special. Just knowing the competitor he was, the person he was, to be compared to him is pretty incredible. And so that's been a super big confidence builder for us.
Danny, you've played at this level as a libero. How has the evolution of the libero position evolved over the last 10, 15, 20 years? And then, secondly, what separates a good libero from a great libero?
Well, it's really cool to see how much it's evolved, and I don't know if this is the first year, but there's a libero on each of the All-American teams, and that was not the case, for a long time. It's probably maybe only the second year, if not the first year. So, I think coaches are starting to understand that it's insanely important to have a great libero. And so for me, what makes a great libero is great volleyball IQ. And so our current libero was a setter, and her whole life she just turned to libero this year, first year playing it. And I want somebody who knows the game and has been around the game and can understands ins and outs, but also have to have great touch. That goes without saying. So you want somebody that can ball handle and be great under pressure.
We're going to pause briefly and see if we have any questions from Zoom.
Thank you, Dan. There are no questions on Zoom right now, but if anybody does want to ask a question, please use the raise hand function and we will be sure to call on you.
Any other questions here in the room? Okay, thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
what?
One of the press conferences were in the little room, and it was just you and like a computer.
Yeah, that was awkward. Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah. Good memories.
The setup is, wow, professional. Looks like you're like performing on stage. What'd you say? I won't move it. I won't.
We got a little time. Yeah, we got a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a few minutes, yeah.
Did I write a nice story about you?
You did.
Thank you.
Matter of fact, Loberg, we're just asking where's her story.
Yeah, I mean.
You win. Ask Diane. Diane. Friday.
We just need you to write Grace G. Loberg.
Okay.
Please.
Cindy, one time last summer, I was talking to him about something on the phone. It was like not even volleyball season. And we're talking, and he goes, "Oh, you want to ask Grace about that?" And I said, "Sure." You remember that? He had you do the phone.
Oh yes, I
And
think
I was
I was
like,
just.
that was like so ridiculously, conveniently funny. You know?
There you
Were
go.
we at the football field?
I think so. And he, yeah, I think I was like having a meeting with you, and then all of a sudden you just hand me the phone. I'm like, hello. Hello.
Now, I want
This is Grace.
I want you two to tell him what we were just watching.
Chippendales and Tim Farley. No, Chris Farley. Chris Farley.
Yeah.
and a band down by the river.
Remember the SNL skits?
Oh, yeah.
I thought you would have shown him Leave It to Beaver.
I've seen Leave It to.
Yeah. It's yeah, they hadn't seen either one of those things, but when we were in there watching a little bit of SNL, old school on Chris Farley SNL.
Perfect way to pass time. Yep.
One good thing about Kelly is that it'll enrich your humor development.
He used the lollygagging term the other day in practice. Is that from SNL?
No.
What does that make them?
Lollygagging.
Lollygagging? Lollygagging?
Bull Durham.
Bull Durham. It's a term you don't hear very often.
We're going to get Bull Durham quotes out of
5 minutes.
Lollygagging.
Is that from SNL originally?
Lollygagging. Did I use that?
Diane, do you think we have any others coming? Okay, yeah, let's wait. You don't want to do it twice. You don't want to do it twice. Yep. Okay, Coach, you want to give us an opening statement, and then we'll take questions from there.
You know, I think all year long, you know, this is something that you kind of shoot for is trying to make it to a Final Four, and you know, to be able to do that with this group, the players that we've had here is. You know, it's special, it's fun, it's, we're excited to be a part of this, we're excited to be in Columbus. People that we've come in contact with so far have just been amazing. And I think we're in for a treat here for this, for these 3 matches. I think these are 4 teams that have very distinct styles of play. All 4 teams have had great years, all 4 teams are peaking at the right time, and we're excited to get started tomorrow.
Okay, questions? Front left?
Excuse me. Lee Feinswalk from volleyballmag.com. Ooh, that was best swallowed wrong. Sydney, can you talk about Grace's development as a player and her as a person? Not a development as a person, but just.
Just as a player. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we've been teammates now for 5 years, and every single year she's just gotten so much better and more confident and just someone that I can turn to in high-pressure situations. And this year especially, I think there's just a look in her eye that she's like, all right, let's go. Like, we got this. Give me the ball. And, you know, I feed her, and she's playing super well, and it's super fun.
Kelly, can you answer the same question?
It's, yeah, I mean, Grace is a player that is, she gives us a lot of experience. You know, she's played in a lot of matches. You know, she came, what was that? Was that your freshman year that came off the bench and just had a huge NCAA tournament for us her freshman year? Didn't play most of the season at all. And we go into Iowa State and she came off the bench and just was absolutely huge in that match. I don't think we get on into the second weekend without her, and then she goes up against Stanford. I think it was #1 team in the country at that point, and was huge there, you know, and just didn't flinch at all. But then she's, you know, as people get film on you and they kind of see what you're about, you've got to evolve your game. And she's been a player that has been able to, you know, continue to evolve, continue to add tools to the tool belt, if you will. And the idea here is that by the end of your career to be playing your best volleyball, and Grace is. And you can just tell, I was so excited that she decided to come back, because I think that was probably at a time, that was probably a coin flip. But she brings so much joy to the gym and so much freshness into the gym. That she helps us in our training environment, and she's certainly become a big time player for us out in the court, especially the second half of the season. She'd been the second half of the season, once she kind of got into the rotation all the time and been able to get a rhythm, she's just taken her game to another level.
Middle right.
Tim Sullivan, Louisville Courier-Journal. For Kelly, wonder, because of your size, that's a big consideration for Louisville. They don't match up that well in terms of at least height. Is there a standard approach teams take with you that are undersized or lesser sized than you?
Are you trying to give us the keys to beating us? Wanting me to say this is how you beat us? Is that the question?
What they're gonna do to us.
Okay. I think when you get to this point in the season, and certainly before this, I think a big thing for everybody, I'll answer your question kind of indirectly, but I think a big key is you got to stay true to yourself, right? You know, if you got to, there are some things that we do that are really, really special. Our size can play a part of that, no doubt about it. There are some things that Louisville does that makes them incredibly special, and if either of us try to be somebody that we're not, we're going to have some problems. Both teams are going to have some issues. They get on a ball really quick. I mean, their attackers get on the ball fast. They work really, really hard in transition. The team doesn't have Louisville. They don't have weaknesses to exploit. It's probably as solid and balanced of a team as that there is in the country, not just here in the Final Four, but anywhere. They're incredibly impressive. I mean, I was looking the other day. The fact that 40% of their sets they've won by 9 or more points. I mean, that is crazy talk. You just don't see that. They've been destroying people. You know, I could sit there and say this is what you do against us, but that would be the wrong approach for them. They've got to play their game. We've got to play our game against them and hope that it's good enough.
Front left.
Sid, what do you think of Louisville from what you've seen so far?
Yeah, like what Kelly said, is they don't have a lot of weaknesses. You know, you watch them and at first I was like, wow, they're kind of like us. They're very offensively balanced. And then you start to see how hard they work in transition, just some of the athletes they have attacking. Anna Stevenson just is an incredible player to watch. Their setter is great. Both of their outsides are super springy. They're just really solid all the way around, really well coached, and I think that we're going to have to play really well to compete with them tomorrow.
Kelly, this past week we did a video, and it included an interview with Dave Shondale, the Purdue coach. And of course, you and he grew up in the same town in Muncie, Indiana. You're real good friends with his brother. And you told me that you had spent a lot of time with the family, when you were a kid, and he described you as Eddie Haskell. And for those of you who don't know Leave It to Beaver, you'll have to look it up. But
Eddie Haskell.
You've got to have the chance to respond to that.
Looking back 30 years or more, probably 35 years, that's probably a little bit more truth than probably what I'd want to admit. I don't know. I didn't know that's the game that we're doing here. I don't know. Dave probably considered himself Arthur Fonzarelli, so that was probably what he would consider he was. These guys have no idea the conversation that we're having right now. But Eddie and the Fonz, there you have it.
Dennis Punzel, Wisconsin State Journal. Kelly, All-America teams came out today. No surprise. But just Dana's 5th year, what's the significance of that? And Sid for 3 straight years on the first team. And Barnesy as a second-team libero for the 2nd straight year.
Not something that you should, sneeze at, I guess. I mean, it's you can sit there and say, well, that's old hat, but no, these guys have worked hard to develop their games, and it's well earned. And there's certainly quite a few other people. The person to my right, Grace, certainly could have been on that list as well. Quite a few other people on our team, a few people on these other 3 teams that are here. Some of their players could have made it. It's a, but they've worked hard. Those are honors that have been earned, right? I mean, I don't know how many times I could walk by the gym, late at night or early in the morning or something, and Sid is just in there by herself hitting the ball up against the box and having it rebound so she's able to, and setting into the target. I mean, it is all the time. There's a price to pay, and they have done that. They're some of the best players our program has ever had, and it's certainly been a blessing to coach them. Sid is as good as any collegiate setter in a long time. Dana, 5-time first-team All-American. I mean, that's never happened in any sport. I mean, it's ridiculous. Hopefully, there becomes an opportunity for that. I really think that we need to be at a point, or getting to a point, where every single player in every sport has the opportunity to play 5 years in 5 seasons, and you do away with the redshirt rule, you do away from conference or NCAA waivers. We can do that. To me, that's a bigger deal than NIL. It's a way bigger deal than NIL. You have every single college athlete being able to graduate with, debt-free, the scholarship athletes debt-free, and have a graduate degree. I mean, holy cow, you think of how many people that are paying off graduate degrees for 20, 30 years after school. We could wipe that free. So, I know football gets the opportunity of playing 4 in a 3rd year. I don't know why they get that 3rd year, no other sport does. But we ought to be able to extend this to 5 years. I'll get off my soapbox. So I guess my point is, I'm hoping Dana's not the only one that is able to 5 years to be able to do it.
Middle right.
Sydney, the Louisville players were talking about how they started talking about the national championship early in the season, and I guess with this being your 3rd straight Final Four, that's a conversation that never ends at Wisconsin. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like an unsaid goal. I think everyone who comes to Wisconsin, that's one of the reasons they come here, to make history and to win a national championship. But I think that most of the time it's in the back of our heads when we get into the gym, and it's like, this is our why. This is why we work so hard. But if you look past the journey, you're going to get beat, you're going to get upset, you're not going to appreciate the moment. So I think you just got to take it one game at a time, one day at a time, and try to get 1%
better every day. And then if it leads you to the Final Four, then it does, and you soak it all in.
Back left.
Grace, we don't want to waste your trip here.
First question.
Kelly talked about the second half of the season, that your roles become more consistent and your level of play is picked up. How do you feel your game has changed or evolved over the course of this season?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like I'm playing with a different mindset, and I feel like that does help my game. I've been working a lot on just like incorporating new shots into my play, and I think that's been really helping me. But overall, I feel like one of the biggest things for me is just like really focusing on staying in the present in every single scenario I'm in. Just like in practice, focusing on that point, and the matches, focusing on that point, that set, and just not worrying about anything that happened or could happen. I think that's been a huge help for me.
Okay.
Something I want to jump in here on here. We've got two players here that are fifth-year seniors and that are using this extra year, and there's quite a few of them that are here in the Final Four, and there's quite a few of them across the country. I think almost every one of the All-Americans from last year's team decided to come back and use this extra year. That tells me that us as a sport are doing something right. You know, that programs across the country are given an experience, not just these two, but across the board. Almost all of the elite players have decided to come back because their experience has been great. And it's not because, here, let's come back so I can create more value to be able to make more money down the road at playing professional or whatever. They came back because of the experience and with their teammates and things. And I think that's something that we should be celebrating as a sport. Not just, you know, I think there's some of, man, I wish they would have gone already. No, I think that's what we're wanting college sport to be about, right? Is that these guys are getting better, but they're having the time of their lives, they're having a great experience, and they want to stay with it. And the fact that so many of these players across the country made that decision, I think this is the appropriate time to kind of celebrate that, I think, a little bit.
Okay, we'll pause here and we'll see if there's any questions from Zoom.
Thank you, Dan. I do not see any hands raised on Zoom at this time, but if anybody does have a question, please feel free to use the raise hand function and we can get to you, but no hands raised at this time.
Any other questions here? Okay, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Just a reminder, a recording of the press conference will be available at NCAA Digital Media Hub, and that address is www.ncaaveritone.com. Okay, we'll get started here. Coach, if we could, we have an opening statement from you, and then we'll start taking questions.
Yeah, I just want to model the new Adidas bling. Gave us some cool stuff today, so shout out to Adidas, sponsor of the Huskers. This is a little deja vu. We were here. Were we on that
16,
trip? Yeah.
yeah.
So Lauren and I have been here before, and Lindsay Peterson. So, but excited to be here. And so far, Columbus has done an amazing job. One of the coolest things I've ever seen. And I don't know if Janine back here had anything to do with it, but when we got to the hotel, they played a video of all the girls' parents and families giving pump-up encouragement messages on this video. It was very creative and cool, and got this trip day off to a great start. So thank you for that and all the hospitality that we've seen so far. And I remember in 16, Columbus, this place knows how to run Final Fours and big events, and I think they do a lot of other championships and things as well. So we're excited to be here, and Pitt's a really good team, and we're going to have a great challenge in front of us.
Okay, we'll open up for questions. Again, please identify yourself when asking a question. Here we go, front left.
Lincoln O'Neill, Omaha World Herald. Lauren, how does it feel to be back? And does it feel, what has the progression been like since the last time you were here? And has it sunk in the reality that this is it? This is the final weekend of your Nebraska career?
Yeah, I think this is like the third time that I felt that way, but this is actually the last one. I'm so grateful to be here and grateful to be surrounded with the people that are here with us, and this team is on to something special. There's just like a different feel, a different energy with this team, and definitely excited to see what we can do and happy to be back.
What was it like watching that video with your teammates, the message that your family conveyed to you?
I'm not the person to ask because my parents just had my dogs and Husker gear just sitting there. But it was really sweet. I know it brought a lot of the girls to tears, and it is nice to see that. Like, obviously emotions and everything runs high here, and to have that, just like a little piece of home there waiting for us, was really sweet and definitely super special. I haven't had that in any of the previous Final Fours, so really a nice touch.
Back left.
Matt Foster with KUTV Omaha. Lauren, you've obviously played in a Final Four before. This is Pitt's first. What do you remember about your first trip to the Final Four, and is it an advantage kind of having this experience of knowing what it's like once those bright lights turn on?
Yeah, I think experience is always helpful. I think that, but when it comes time to the game, it's just going to be the team that's better prepared and wants it more and plays harder, and hopefully that'll be us. And but I don't think that has necessarily that great of an impact as an advantage as people think. It's just whichever team wants it more that day.
Front right.
Brent Wagner from the Lincoln Journal-Star. John, you get one more week with Lauren, and then she's gone. When she's done, what will be Lauren Stiveron's legacy with Nebraska volleyball, and how will you remember her?
I think I got asked this in the ESPN interviews, and what my answer was, I could say all the normal things, you know. She started off as a freshman. She was a brat. I almost kicked her off the team. She's matured. She's been a great leader, captain, all those things. Didn't want to be captain this year, but her team voted her unanimous to be a captain. But to me, her legacy will be the introductions that she received when she wasn't playing this year, and then finally when she was introduced as a starter. The applause that she received from our fans is one of probably the loudest times I've ever heard Devaney. And I think that's her legacy right there. Her connection with our fans, our fan base, the Husker Nation, the respect they have for her on who she is and what she's accomplished and what a great competitor she is. You know, in Nebraska, they love players that work hard and compete hard, win or lose. That's what they take the most pride in, and I think that's Lauren's legacy.
Right.
Yeah, Lee Feinswag from volleyballmag.com. Maddie, what do you make out of Pitt?
Sorry?
What do you make out of Pitt?
They're obviously going to be a great challenge for us, and we're really excited to play against them. We know that they have a fast offense, and they have a lot of weapons that we're going to have to pay attention to, but we're just excited for the challenge.
Lauren, you might give me a little more technical on that or more specific, because they're a different kind of team than you've played.
Yeah, but I think she hit on all of the things that we need to focus on. We know that they're going to run a fast offense. We know that they run a 6-2, and they've got great hitters everywhere. But when it comes down to the game time, we just need to focus on ourselves and play Husker volleyball, because that's ultimately what's going to take us to the next game.
Okay. Back left.
John, Lexi was named a first-team All-American today, becoming just the second freshman at Nebraska to be named first-team All-American. What has been her impact this season, and did you expect her to have that type of impact in her first year?
Do you know who the first freshman All-American was? Who? Yeah, Pavin. So it's a pretty big company that Lexi went in. Again, I got to give Kayla Banworth credit. In 9th grade, she told me Lexi was going to be really good, and I like, no way. And she made me offer her a scholarship in camp as a 9th grader. So I guess one libero can really see what's great in another libero. To have her be first team All-American is a major accomplishment that I think she'd be here. No, but I know she's really good, and we saw that from day one that she arrived on campus. Like, she's got something special, and she's won a lot of big awards up to this point, and this is probably one of the biggest ones, you know, being so young and becoming a first team. So I also think that just shows you the amount of respect that she has, because she was also voted Defensive Player of the Year in the Big Ten, which might be as big as accomplishment as a first team All-American, because our conference was so good and there's so many great players. But I also think that's also a reflection of we're a great defensive team. I think we're considered one of the best defensive teams in the country. We led almost every statistical category in the Big Ten this year. And I think this is a team award that she's recognized as part of that, but this is a reflection of the defense that we play.
Okay. Middle left here.
With Lexi, kind of, I mean, she had a little barrel job from day one. How much did she impact the identity of that team? I know you always say serve and pass is one of the tenets of Nebraska volleyball, but how much did she kind of elevate that to an elite level to get you to be able to be playing here?
Yeah, I think her play is contagious, and her confidence and how she plays. I also think Kenzie Knuckles' moving position has also really had a major impact on our mindset. And then Keonile has, so those three really set the tone for how we play defense and what our back row can do. And then, I think our, stemming from how hard we work on blocking, it's all works together. It's not just, oh, you're a great defensive player. You have to have a great block in front of you or it doesn't matter. So we take a lot of pride in that, but, it's contagious. Just like when Lauren's blocking balls, it's contagious. And you guys, I keep asking, where's Lauren at? How's she improved? I mean, I think Lauren's blocking better than she ever has in her whole life and career at Nebraska. I mean, blocking is a tough skill to get better at. And so I think it all works together. And Lexi's part of the heartbeat of our mindset and attitude that we have.
Maddie, what is it like playing? You play in the back row with those three with Lexi, Kenzie, and kind of like, what is it like for you to be back there, and is it contagious? Do you feed off of what they're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a certain level of trust that we talk about a lot that is required of defense in our defensive schemes and in serve receive. And I think playing next to them, we have a nonverbal communication as well as verbal communication that we know what the other person is going to do, and that allows us to all do our jobs well. And so I think that level of trust is really important. And like you said, it's very contagious between the four of us.
Do you have a nickname for those three, or is there a group nickname for them? What do y'all call them?
We called them three the midgets.
How do they like that?
They love it.
We as coaches don't use that terminology. We call them the Legion of Boom. The Legion of Boom.
That right? Channel 10, 11 in Lincoln. Maddie, you're in a Final Four field that has the 1 seed, the 2 seed, and then, or excuse me, the 1, 3, 4, a combined 90 wins out of those other teams. You guys, how do you balance that belief that you can win a national championship, but know that you're up against a pretty stacked field?
Yeah, I think this team has had a really deep belief from the beginning of season, regardless wins and losses in conference. And I think it goes to show with us being seeded 10th and being the lowest seeded team since 2014 in the Final Four, the belief in this that we have in each other. And so I think we're just going to carry that joy and belief through these next matches.
Jacob Myers, the Columbus Dispatch. John, different topic, but I just wanted to ask about Danny and your impressions of her and her Louisville program that she's built. And is it safe to assume if you're not playing her in the final and they get there that you'll be rooting for her?
Well, we'll always root for her when we're playing them, but I'm very proud of Danny. I'm not surprised what she's done. She's done an amazing job. She's done it really quickly, which is, I mean, I'm sure she's going to have a good shot at being Coach of the Year. But to go undefeated to this point is really, really hard. And you could say, oh, they played in the ACC. Well, we know how tough the ACC is this year, which makes it even more. And then she came in and they kicked our butt in Devaney. So she's done a great job. And, you know, she's a small-town Nebraska kid who I made her switch positions her senior year. And she set up for a national championship, and the next year I made her a libero. She, you know, weathered that storm, and I hired her back as I tell all of our players that want to coach, you got to go away somewhere else and see what the rest of the world's like, because it's not every place is like Nebraska. So she went away and coached, I think, at Tennessee and Louisville. I hired her back. We won a national championship in 2015, and then. You know, she got hired at Louisville. I remember Tom Jurich, the AD, called me and said, "Hey, we want to hire Danny." I said, "Great, she's ready to go." That was it. It was a done deal. Like 5 minutes, she was hired, and she's done an amazing job. I mean, but she's a heck of a recruiter. She's a great judge of talent, and again, she's played libero, she's played setter, and she's been in some really good programs.
Okay, here in front.
John, just to stick with Danny for a second, because I asked her because we don't know the answer, and maybe you do. Has anyone ever won national championships as a player, an assistant coach, and a head coach?
Oh God!
In your memory.
I don't know. You got to sport SID people. I wouldn't remember that. That's a great question. I want to. You know, it's a really good question. That's a heck of a trivia question.
So, question for you: along this season, as it's progressed, any things that have surprised you, positive or negative, about your team?
Anything that surprised me? No, I think probably the biggest surprise is I don't think I did a very good job coaching in the non-conference and managing how we were going to come up with a lineup and waiting for Lauren to come back. And what probably surprised me is how well they handled that and stuck with it and then believed in what we were doing. And we started off the Big Ten 10-0, and this is by far the toughest Big Ten conference. But I've seen this team grow and get better every week that we've gone on. We expect that at Nebraska. But this team's really, really embraced it, and they've trained, you know, I said this earlier, they come into practice every day, and we have a thing, it's 13-13 today. They come in and train like it's 13-13 in the fifth every day, and they've done it the entire year. So not that that's a surprise, but it's more of a compliment that they've really stuck with it, and they've all found their roles and embraced it and stuck with it. So it's not a surprise, but it's they could have gone the other way is, I guess, what I'm trying to say.
One more, if I may. So you are a master at the challenge and always have been, but this year you've had to do it two different ways. Your thoughts about what you got to use during the regular season as opposed to what you've got now, and would you like to have seen them use what you used during the regular season in the postseason?
I'm not sure I understand.
Well, use one, win it, get it back.
Oh, the challenges. Oh, okay, I think you're talking about challenges. I'm still on my bad job of coaching. The
different kind of
challenges.
challenges.
Oh, no, I'm in favor of the experimental EVU 2 and what we did in the Big Ten. I thought it was great because you really got to think about a challenge, and then of course if you're confident, you'll get it back. Whereas, there's been matches in the past. I've gone through 3 challenges in the first 2 games, and then you're done. So, I like the idea of keeping a challenge if you win it, and then I think it just, I don't know, it feels more fair or something.
Should it have been carried over?
Heck yeah, but it took me 20 years to get Terraflex out here, so complaining about that. Now if we can get rid of sport courts in the regionals, that'll be really, really special.
Okay, we'll go back right and then middle right.
Lauren, how do you describe the amount of momentum you have after beating Texas on the road last weekend?
Yeah, I think that was a huge confidence booster for our team. I've talked about this previously, how one of our team's biggest struggles is not that we weren't talented enough. Our talent was here, but our confidence was here. And a few big wins in, and it's slowly starting to align. And once they do, we're going to be pretty much unstoppable. And I think that game kind of leveled us out, and I think we're ready for this next challenge. I think that momentum has kind of worn off at this point, but because it doesn't matter. It's a brand new team, and it's a whole different ball game now that we're here. But we're definitely ready for that challenge.
John, when you guys beat Texas last week, it appeared that when the players were celebrating, the cameras caught Lexi's son saying to Maddie Kubik, I'm really proud of you, or something to that extent. Just how has Lexi's son handled this season, and what do you think that moment maybe says about this team and this culture?
Well, like I said, they've embraced their roles. We have a thing called we over me, and it's part of our culture. Whether they're starters, non-starters, whatever, this team has really, really embraced that. And I think that is probably a pretty dramatic example because Lexi has played in the past and has played this year, and they're all in it for each other. And it's probably one of the reasons we're here. You got to have that to get to this point. You can't be a fake team and get here. And especially the route we had to go through, which I think is probably, in all my years of coaching, on paper was the most difficult path to get here. Anyway, I just think it's for real for us, and that was a pretty dramatic example that the cameras caught.
John, what do you see as 2 of the 3 of the biggest strengths of Pitt's team this year?
They have 6 hitters that can kill the ball. They run a 6-2. They're very well coached. They serve well. They pass well, and they've been in some wars. So this is, it's Final Four. You're going to play great teams here, and so it'll be a really great challenge for us. But very impressed with Pitt, and again, that team's been building. They got a lot of older players, so they've been building this for a while. They were right on the verge of making the Final Four in the spring. I think they lost to Washington. Is that right? Yeah.
Okay, middle left.
Maddie, you were named an All-American today. What does that mean to you, and kind of the accomplishment that comes with that award?
Yeah, we always talk about how the awards that we receive on our team are team awards, and as Coach was alluding to as well with Lexi, just that her award is a reflection of our defense and what we train in our gym, and I think it's really exciting, and it's just awesome.
Lauren, we'll ask you, Kayla got her work recognized too. What does that mean to you as a fellow middle blocker to see her, you're talking about team awards, to see her get that recognition and kind of the work that she's put in to be where she is today?
Yeah, I think it's amazing, and Maddie touched on it too, but this team is just so talented no matter what position you are, and but definitely to see Kayla get that award, it was something so special, and it made me so happy. And I know how hard she's worked. I've worked with her side by side every single day, and the player that Kayla came into Nebraska as and the player that she is today are 2 completely different people and different styles, different techniques, different everything. And so to see all of her hard work pay off, everyone is so pumped for her, and I definitely am, and I'm her biggest cheerleader. We all love whenever she gets her big kills and stuff like that. It's definitely a momentum swing for our team, so definitely so excited for her.
And John, where does the Legion of Boom nickname come from? What's the background behind that?
Oh, that's what Tyler and Jalen call him, the Legion of Boom, so you have to ask him. But in regards to Kayla, we're just going to keep telling her that, hey, you're too small, nobody thinks you're any good, because that's what motivates her, and because she is an undersized middle. But she certainly makes up for it. It's pretty cool to see.
Okay, back left.
John, this team has led the NCAA tournament with aces. How important is serving when you get to this point in the season? Can that kind of be the make or break in a close set?
Every day when we do serving, I tell them this is the most important drill of the day. And because serve can really, really... So, for example, they've got great hitters. Texas has great hitters. Wisconsin has great hitters. Everybody's got great hitters. One way you can neutralize them is serve tough and get them out of system. So that's where you start with that. And then it gives us a chance to slow them down and improves our odds of scoring a point the more pressure we can put on them serving. So it's huge. And you can't go just by aces. You got to go by how much you're getting them out of system.
Back right.
John, this is your 10th Final Four. Have you learned along the way how to, I guess, finally balance the competitive John Cook and then also the guy who needs to just enjoy the experience of being here?
I don't know. I need to meet with my psychiatrist and figure that out. I don't know. It never gets old, I can tell you that. And I appreciate all you guys coming to our press conference, and it's a big deal in Nebraska. I mean, I get the texts I get and the emails I get. I mean, people are in tears. They're writing me these emails and they're crying as we won and got to this Final Four. I mean, it's a big deal there. So that's what makes it really cool, and I never take that for granted. And this is what makes it really, really special, coaching at Nebraska, and these guys know exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay, we'll go middle right.
Lauren, going back to the Texas match, leading up to that, what did Coach Cook do to make you guys believe that you could win that match and instill confidence in you that you guys could beat Texas last week?
I think that came from us. He always believes in us for sure, but I think if any of the previous games that we've struggled in, it's been because we didn't believe in our own selves, and it's not that we're any less talented than anyone we play. It just comes from within, and it's hard to put it into words. It was just like a feeling that like we knew we were the better team. We might have been like outmatched talent-wise, maybe just a little bit. They've got some big physical hitters, and experienced hitters at that. But we definitely play with a lot more heart, and we love what we do. And we just knew going into that something we were going to win. We didn't know how, but we were going to find a way, and we were going to do it together. And I think that belief carried us through, and I think that will carry us through moving forward.
Okay, we'll pause here and check with our media on Zoom.
Thank you, Dan. I don't see any hands up right now, but I'll go ahead and wait a few seconds. If there are any questions from those of you that have joined us on Zoom, please go ahead and use the raise hand function and we can get your question asked.
Okay, any other questions here in the room? Okay.
Maddie, going back to Texas, the Texas match, what was it like, I guess? I mean, it was a late match, but what was it like Saturday night to see the reaction from fans, and the last couple of days, maybe what's one of the best compliments you saw, or one of the best things you heard, the reaction to that and getting to the Final Four?
Yeah, I think the Texas gym is obviously a very challenging arena to play in. It was very loud with the wood court. Obviously, everything echoes as well, so there were times when you literally couldn't hear yourself think or hear the person next to you. So we just kept working through that, and we have experience obviously playing in loud gyms with playing in Devaney, but yeah, it was really exciting. I think there's a lot of photographs that were taken at the end of that match with all of our families standing up and just like cheering, and they all had their signs and like glitter poppers, and so that was really cool to see, especially with us like cheering on the court and then them cheering behind us as well. So that was really cool to see.
Anything else? Okay. Thank you all.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
As a reminder, the recording of this press conference and all the press conferences today are available on the NCAA Digital Media Hub at www.ncaa.veritone.com.